the number one secret to top producing brokers is going to be the mindset. Okay. And I'm going to show you exactly what they know, exactly what they're worth. And we're going to get to that in 1 second. But like I said, pull out your pen and paper. Okay. Now, what I want you to do, we're rolling up on the fourth quarter of 2022, right? So just take your next 12-month goal, okay? I want you to do me a favor. Every single one of you on the line, if you're hearing the sound of my voice, take a pen and paper out, and I want you to write down what your income goal is over the next 12 months. Very, very important, okay? Write down what your income goal is over the next 12 months. Then, and I want you to take what your income was over the last 12 months, okay? So, and I'm doing, this is to drive home a very, very important point, okay? And then the next thing you want is you want to subtract whatever you made last year from whatever you want to make next year, okay? So let's say you want to make $200,000 in the next 12 months and you made $100,000 last year for simple math. You subtract 100,000 from 200,000, and what that is the gap in your knowledge and in what it's costing you. So if you want to make $500,000 next year and you made $200,000 last year, the gap in between what you are capable of earning and what you want to earn is $300,000. You with me, guys? That's what we, in a not so nice way, people call that the ignorance gap. It's the gap of what you don't know and what that costs you every single year. Now, what we're going to cover, guys, is how agents always make money. The secret that agents know so that they can always make money, and what you can do to bulletproof your business. Very, very important themes, guys. Very, very important. So the first thing that comes with this mindset of mentality that the top producing brokers have is you have to know what your worth is. Here's what I mean, okay? You need to be able to figure out your hourly price, okay? So that same annual goal that you just accessed a minute ago, take your annual goal and divide it by $2,000, right? So if let's just say for simple math, you want to make $200,000 and you divide that by $2,000, that is your hourly rate. So guys, do me a favor to type in the chat what your gap is going to be. I'm sorry, what your hourly rate is going to be. So let's just say, for argument's sake, 250,000 is your annual goal. Okay, you divide that by 2,000, and then what you're going to find out that your hourly rate is $100 an hour. Okay, so guys, do me a favor, type in the chat what your hourly rate is. I want to see what these numbers are. Sherry says 150 an hour. Mark says 100 an hour. Josh says 40. I love it, guys. Okay, so perfect. Now that you actually have taken and quantified what your worth is, now you can't do any work that's less than your hourly rate. Here's what I mean. Let's say in Mark's situation, right? His hourly rate's $100 an hour. Does it make any sense for Mark to do something that he could pay an admin $15 or $20 an hour for? Does it make any sense whatsoever? The short answer to that is no, right? And the only way brokers, and this is where a lot of brokers get stuck because they say, oh, how am I supposed to do this? How am I supposed to get to that next level? The way you get to the next level, and these are one of the secrets that the top producing brokers know, they know what their time is worth and they don't do anything that is not, quote, worth their time, okay? It's like you don't see the president mowing the lawn of the White House. Why? Because there's people that can be paid less than the president is worth in order to mow the lawn. You with me? Same exact thing. You don't see the CEO picking weeds out of the sidewalk. Why? Because he or she has more important things to do with their time. So you have to be very, very strict and very, very disciplined in terms of what you do. Making flyers, putting things on the MLS, sending out packages, so forth. There's a lot of things that don't need to be done by you. A lot of us, we get into this mentality of, oh, I have to handle everything. You don't, because top producing brokers know how to leverage the efforts of others. So let's go back. Come on. Okay. So the next step for you, right, is to then offload non-essential tasks, right? So what you're going to do is and this is the secret the top producing brokers know. They know what's worth their time and what's not worth their time. Anybody that's ever, worked with me, whether in my company, admin staff, whatever, we always have standard operating procedures, and we always know exactly what every piece of the company is supposed to be doing. So what I would recommend, guys, is you take your business model and write down every task that is included in your business model. So if it's like, okay, research properties, call people, put people's names in the database, and and I'm going to show you in a second what a flow chart looks like, right? And once you create that chart, then you'll know every single task that needs to be done, okay? You analyze what you don't have to do, and then you delegate the rest. You do as much of the essential tasks that you have to, and you delegate the rest. And I'm going to show you what that means, okay? Now, this is a little bit blurry, but this gives you an idea. I did this years ago for Dark Horse, which is my brokerage company, right? And basically, we follow a very simple task, right? We research properties, we call expireds, we set meetings, we get listings. Once the listing is signed, then you blast it out, field inquiries, so on and so forth. These are the basic building blocks of the process. And then these are the individual tasks associated with each one of those building blocks. Very straightforward, very, very simple. And at the end of the day, guys, I know exactly what needs to be done for every single task. And I've created an SOP or standard operating procedure for every one of those tasks. So we know what to do. And Sherry, I'm going to be sharing this in class. So absolutely, I'll be able to get you a copy of this. Not a problem, right? And this is one thing we're going to be handling in our practice tomorrow for our inner circle students. We're going to be going over how to create, because this is how people leverage up. This is how you go from making 100,000 a year to 300,000 a year when you start doing more of the things that matter and less of the things that don't. So, boom. All right. So the other thing that top producing brokers know, okay, the big secret is they prioritize their big three. So once you've analyzed your business, you realize what the essential and non-essential tasks are, okay? Then you'll boil it down to the three most important tasks are prospecting, presenting, and following up. I promise you, with 1000% clarity and 1000% surety, the more you prospect, present, and follow up, the more money you're going to make. Period. End of story. Okay. And if you aren't doing these three tasks more than half of the day, you are leaving a ton of money on the table. Think about it, guys. These are the tasks. How many of you, type one in the chat, right? How many of you have ever dialed for a half an hour or an hour, came up with an opportunity that might make you $15, $20, $30, $50,000 in that 1 hour? Okay, do me a favor, type one in the chat for those of you that have ever come up with an opportunity. So what that means is that's prospecting. Prospecting is in my opinion, the number one thing that's going to create most opportunities. Mark says yes. Laura says yes. Absolutely. Guys, you have to understand this. When you are doing these things, you're creating opportunities for yourself. So the more that you're prospecting, presenting, and following up, the more that you're going to be able to make significantly more money with your time, okay? So if you're not doing those three tasks more than half the day, you need to offload the things that you don't have to do and do much, much more of the prospecting, presenting, and following up. Now, I know what a lot of people are thinking, right? You might be saying, hey, I can't afford an admin. I can't afford to bring someone on. Here's the thing. Number one, you don't have to bring anyone on full-time. You can bring them on part-time. You don't even have to hire someone part-time. What you can do is you can go to a site like Fiverr. You can go to a site like Upwork.com and pay somebody, excuse me, in, let's say, the Philippines, right? They have people that work for $4, $5, $6 an hour, you know, in English speaking, you know, they're very easy to communicate with, you know, and you can offload 2 hours of your day for $8, $10, $12, you know, that type of thing. So always be thinking, guys, you always got to be thinking, how can I offload as much of this stuff as possible? Just guys, as a show of hands, I would like you to type number 2 in the chat. Who here would like to buy 2 hours back on their day, whether it's so they can spend more time at home, so they can spend more time with their family, or so they can spend 2 more hours prospecting, presenting, and following up? They would like to buy that 2 hours back for $10. Who here would do that? By show of hands, type 2 in the chat. Exactly. You with me, guys? Yeah. Okay. All right. Now you guys get it. If you guys are thinking along the right lines, you're going to say, you know what can wealthy people, average earners trade their time for money. Okay. High earners trade their money for time. Okay. I'm going to say it again. Average earners trade their money for time. High earners trade their time for money. Let's see. Hang on, I got that backwards. The point is that the highest earners, right, they know what their time is worth, and they're willing to pay somebody to do the things that they should not be doing. Linda says, what are your thoughts on robocallers, time for money, call prospecting? Okay, here's the thing. With regard to robocallers, Linda, on the residential side of things, sure. Everybody needs a roof over their head. Everybody needs a home or an apartment or a condo. Sure, you can. That's like a one-to-many approach, right? The only problem is when you say robocaller, do you mean somebody calling for you, or do you mean like getting on an automatic dialer? If you could clarify that, because I would not. With commercial, we don't have an overabundance of opportunities. We have a finite amount, because if you think about it, everybody needs a roof over their head. Not everybody is out there owning commercial properties, right? So maybe like 1 out of 1,000 people own commercial properties, whereas most people either own or rent an apartment or a house, right? Yes, someone calling for me or leaving a message with my voice, calling for me, and when they connect to me. Yeah, I would stay away from that. Linda, the question I would ask you, and this is a fun one. Have you ever been called by somebody and it's a robo dialer, or it's somebody who you could tell is like overseas and like, it's not the actual person? Did that turn you on or turn you off to that service, right? Chances are, if you're getting a call from someone from the Philippines or India or Sri Lanka or something like that, that's where a lot of those call centers are. I would stay away from it. For me, I don't like it when someone calls me and then they transfer me over. It's like, well, is that person so important that they don't want to call me? And on the commercial side of things, what you're trying to do is you're trying to create a relationship on the phone, and you don't want to have any hiccups in that. So, and frankly, we get a hold of one person on the phone and we have a quality conversation with them, and it could be $20, $30, $50, $100,000 fee for that. So it's worth it for you to do your calling by yourself. But that's a really, really good question. Okay. So guys, one of the other big things that high producing brokers understand is that they have a game plan and they stick to the game plan. Okay. So here's the thing. It is so easy in this business to get discouraged. It is so easy to go and say, this isn't working. The market's shifting. This is happening. That's happening. If you guys ever knew about like sailors and, in Christopher Columbus time, they follow the stars, right? They follow the North Star. They follow the one thing that they could always count on, okay? And you need to let prospecting be your North Star. The problem is you don't want to change your plan because of a fad, because of gut feeling, or some other nonsense, right? Do what you know works, because it will not change. Seasons change, time changes, the market goes up and down. What I would do is I would learn a business plan that's executable and that can be repeated over and over and over again. But what I would not recommend is, changing your business plan every 2 to 3 months because it's not giving you the results. Most people do not put in enough consistent effort to get the results that they want. My students that do the absolute best, they blindly follow the process and they get results. It's literally that simple, right? And as long as you blindly follow any process that someone else has success with, you too will soon see success, because it's cause and effect, guys. If someone else did it and had success with it, then you shall too. Okay. But don't be afraid to make adjustments. But what you want to do is you want to stick to the plan. You want to stick to the basics. What works? We are not in B2B. We are not in B2C. We are in H to H, which is human to human contact, right? That will never, ever change. Hearing someone's voice, feeling their energy, hearing the sincerity in their voice, in your voice, that you want to genuinely help them. That's what's going to get you meetings. That's what's going to get you clients. And that's what's going to ultimately put dollars in your pocket. Okay. So remember, guys, the best brokers, it doesn't matter what happens, 10 days in a row, they could get skunked and make 50 dials a day and never get a meeting, but they know sooner or later they're going to see results. We just did a study in my veteran program, right? So we have our basic training program and we have our veteran training program, and it was uncanny. We went through several students, 3 or 4 students. We went through their numbers, right? Because we have everybody put their numbers into a spreadsheet, and it's unbelievable, over hundreds and hundreds of calls, how similar the pickup rate was, right? So the point is, like, one student, made 300 calls and he had a 15% pickup rate. The next student made 500 calls and he had a 16% pickup rate. The point is, folks, as long as you use prospecting as your North Star, over time, you might hit a rough patch where you don't get a lot of meetings. You might hit a rough patch where you don't get a lot of listings, but over time, what's called the law of large numbers takes place. And the law of large numbers dictates that, statistically, if 50 out of 1,000 times X occurs, maybe you don't get it for 950 times, and then you'll get 50 in a row. You right? You see what I'm saying, guys? But over time, over a large enough statistical data set, you are going to get X amount of occurrences of an event. So you always have to trust the law of large numbers. That's why I recommend to everybody, track your numbers, track your dials, track your connects, and track your meetings. If you start doing that, you'll start to see relationships. You'll start to see, am I getting better? Am I getting worse? What's happening. And I guarantee you over time, you're going to start seeing the same conversions over time. But again, guys, have a game plan and stick to it. Okay. So guys, my question to you, what are you going to do differently this next 12 months so that you can get different results from the last 12 months? Mr. Einstein said it, right? Or at least he's quoted as saying it. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. So if you made $100,000 last year and you want to make $200,000 this year, unless you change, nothing else changes. So my question to you, what are you going to do differently that's going to get you different results? Mark C says list larger properties. I like it. Yes, Mark, that's exactly the point. When you're closing deals and you're what they call backfilling your pipeline with larger opportunities, that's one way. You want to double the amount of money you make, you got to double the average size listing you take. That's awesome. Very, very good. Guys, that wasn't just a rhetorical question. Guys, tell me in the comments, what are you going to do differently over the next 12 months that's going to be different from what you did over the last 12 months? Mark had a great idea. Anybody else? Anybody? Okay, and guys, we can go ahead and take this time to ask any questions that you might have. And with your permission, guys, I'd like to tell you a little bit about what we do and how we help people. Linda says, what do you think about more speaking engagements? Speaking engagements are okay, but the thing that's going to put more clients in your pipeline and more listings on the market is picking up the phone and calling people. Linda, straight up. Sherry says prospect more. Love it. Yes, exactly. That's the idea. It's one of those things. It's like, what's the best way to get good at baking bread? Get your hands in the dough, rolling pin, get it out there and make bread and make bread and make bread. And sooner or later, you're going to make small tweaks and you're going to get better and better and better at the thing. There is no shortcut to success in this business other than pick a game plan that's already proven and execute on it on a daily basis. I wish I could tell people that you can buy the business. I wish I could tell people that there are shortcuts to it, but the fastest way to get good at this is pick up the phone and dial for an hour a day. You'll be amazed. If you dial in 1 hour a day, 5 days a week, you'll be shocked at your results. One of my students, he came in, he's 28 years old. Shout out to Aaron Daniel. 2 weeks into the program, okay, making 50 to 60 dials a day, he picked up his first $1.35 million listing. Now he's been in it for a month and he's going to be picking up, I think, a $1.8 million listing he mentioned in class the other day. So this stuff it can happen very, very quickly. Okay. But you need to be consistent and diligent about making your dials and prospecting. Okay. Do you have any suggestions on gathering phone numbers? Many of the phone numbers I dial are no longer active. Yes, Joshua, skip tracing, Google it, find it. There are skip tracing services out there. Inside the program, we share with you what softwares, but if you just look up, just Google skip tracing, that's a good way to get better phone numbers. Laura says, start prospecting earlier. Exactly. Yes, guys, think about it. What's that old saying? The what gets the worm? Go ahead. Tell me in the comments, the what, who gets the worm? Early bird. Exactly. Who do you think, guys, talking about statistics, the person that shows up at the office every single day at 7:30, like my man Joshua, okay, or the guy that rolls in at the crack at 10 o'clock, who do you think is going to create more opportunities, all other things being equal, okay? Who do you think is going to create more opportunities? I promise you it's the early bird, right? There's a reason why I get up at 4:53 every day, guys. It gives you like a mental edge over people that when you get up and you do your self-care or your morning routine or you go to the gym and you're at the office and you're ready to go versus the person that's rolling in at 9:30, maybe 10 o'clock if they have to take their kids to school, or they have to go to the dry cleaners, or they have to do something else that's not going to be putting money directly in their pockets, right? The folks that get to the office and get started earliest are the ones that make the most amount of money, and it's no accident, right? It's intentional. There was an old Delta Airlines commercial a few years ago, and I really loved it. It really resonated with me. And it showed early birds, and it said, dedicated to the people that can't wait to get out into the world. They are the ones that shape the world. Or I'm paraphrasing, but you get the point. Like the people that get out and get after it the soonest are going to be the people that are out there, setting the pace and creating, creating opportunities for themselves every single day. The best thing you can do, guys, is wake up every single morning and say, somebody's got my money in their pocket. Where is it? I'm going to go find it. That's the mentality you have to have. You wake up every day unemployed, and you got to go out and find work. You got to go out and find work, right? If you wake up with that mindset every single day, I promise you will always find work. Just make it your goal to just create new opportunities for yourself every day. You create 10 opportunities a week, guys. That's 520 a year. You're gonna have more money than you know what to do with, and all you have to do is create 2 opportunities a day. That's it. You make 30, 40, 50 dials. You get 2 meetings. And you can absolutely take off and run a very, very successful business. Think about it, guys. You get 2 meetings a day, right? You take 1 out of every 10 listings, and then maybe 3 people flake on the meeting. So you got 7. You take 1 out of every 7 meetings, turns into a listing. That's 50 commercial listings a year, guys. Do you know what that would do to your income? It's insane how fast you can get really good at this.